And we've got to remember, as we illustrated right here, that your three master insurgents are your fear, drama, or distrust. So those are the three major categories in life that tend to pull us in, and it's not as though we choose which one we're going to be pulled into, but we're pulled in normally into one of these specifically. People do get pulled into all of them, although that's more rare, but you tend to get pulled into one, like fear, which will be your anxieties and things like that. So these are the best way to start dissecting and analyzing what is really going on and what is holding you back from living your best life. And then we can take that a step further. So we can move from these major three master insurgent groups, which really reflect the masks we wear, the defense mechanisms that we use, and the personality disorders that we create at the end of the day. After those three cases, we can break it down a little bit more, and that we would do here with your 10 master insurgents. And then what we can do is break it down a little further. So beyond the three master insurgents are your 10x insurgents. So that is broken down a little bit further. You have your drama, your fear, and your distrust insurgent. So you'll see, for example, as we break it down from the three main categories of drama, distrust, and fear, we break it down into 10x ego insurgents. And those 10x ego insurgents still have the drama, the fear, and the distrust, but we break it down a little bit further. So where we're looking at drama over here, you'll see that we have our perfectionist insurgent, our controller, and our judge. So, for example, in the category of drama, where we're acting out quite a bit and defending ourselves in certain ways through the persona, you'll see that we try and control. We're always judging, seldom grateful. We get caught up. So when we experience some kind of anything that threatens our self-concept, we will come up with something that says perfectionist, and that'll instantly go and say to you, well, you're not good enough. Let's abandon this project, or all or nothing. We're in, we're out, and life seldom works like that. It's more of a flow, isn't it? So we don't want those spikes to perform at our best. So a controller will come alive when you are threatened. So the minute that survival mind kicks in, you're going to have a judge, a controller, a perfectionist come out and help you like it used to help you when you were a child. So your fear category is your neurotic, your codependent, and your anxious insurgent. And then your distrust is obviously your eccentric, pleaser, victim. And obviously distrust, you can see straight away, those are mostly in our relationships. One more step, once we can see that these things are active and working in our lives, we'll probably be more in one of the segments than the other. Although we will probably identify a little bit with each, we'll find ourselves far more sort of enmeshed in one of the segments. So that's one of the first things you need to find out. And then we will go and say, well, how do we get out of these things? How do we get out of the codependence that served me when I was a child? And you do that by returning to your sacred self. So that is the third one that I wanted to show you today, and that is, you get back to your authentic self, the person who has the values, who has a built-in moral code. You've had it since you were young. You were kind, you were giving. Whatever those characteristics that you were can really, really be daunted, pushed down, and hidden even by your insurgents. So going back to sacred self, or as we call it, a return to sacred self, is really what everyone's been talking about for centuries. So we move from the science, the human sciences and so on, into something that's more human, more spiritual, looking within. So these things, and you will see the 7 of them here, are our ways back our return to love, and our return to sacred self. Obviously, love being the most powerful, of course. Gratitude instead of judgment. Presence instead of distraction. Empathy. Empathy goes right back. You're not defensive when you're empathic. You're actually helping people. You're being vulnerable. And I often say to people, if someone was drowning in the ocean, a lot of people's first reaction is something like empathy. It's in them all along. And a day before they could say they don't like people. So these are the things that we tussle with until we do the work. And obviously courage, which comes from your core, your heart, self-regulation and connection. So that's the way back. That's the map. Analyze first, find out what the insurgents are, and then synthesize. And that is the work we do. So that is the journey and the return.